The pipeline's ransom got paid, and we'll talk a bit about what that means, including some discussion that I had with my good friend Seawall yesterday, and what that could possibly mean going forward for some of the rest of this. In other news, Israel is looking at possibly doing a ground invasion into the Gaza Strip. Well, I hope you're ready to get drafted. That's all that I have to say about that. In other news, you can now take off the mask because you were a good little boy all this time, except for those of us who weren't, because reasons and whatever the fuck else. But we'll talk a bit about what's going on with that. And the Lincoln Project has a new project. So we'll talk a bit about what's going on with that and more. It is going to be all this and more over here on Contemporary today. Hey, do you trust the plan yet? I'm Jay Edgar, and this is Contemporary. Well, hi there, people. Welcome to Contemporary. My name is Jay Edgar, and we've got a lot of stuff to do today. It's Friday, but the other big news today is that if you are just lurking today, make sure you get those last-minute messages in. Make sure you're active in chat today because I got the notebook out here. It's Friday. We are going to thank everybody who came by and chatted in the live chat throughout the week. So, no lurkers today. No lurkers throughout the week anyway, but no lurkers today. Come on in and hang out and enjoy the show. Definitely looking forward to that. Always my favorite part of the week, too, to sit back and interact with you. And if your comment is sufficiently stupid or bigoted, it'll get read on the air because it will raise the intellectual level of this program. But we got a bunch of news to get to. Just a whole ton of this stuff here. So we got to get ourselves right into it because, you know, I started late. I overslept today. I'll be completely out. I'm not going to come out and say, oh, well, this happened and this happened. No. I was on a deserted island with Ashley Tisdale, and my body decided it didn't want to leave that deserted island. So there we are. It was like 6:15, 6:20 before I got up and out of bed. So here's where we sit, but, you know, it is what it is. Let's look in at, well, no, let's not look in at the markets yet. Let's look at my friends over at the Freedom Scoop Media Group. We've got a great media group, and we've still got a defunct website, so pardon our dust while we get that finished up. But even though we don't have the website right now, you can still go out and check out my great friends, The Generational Gap, The Daily Ignoramus, The Breakdown with Birkenhoff, The Freckles and Brit Show, and The R-Rated Conservative. Go and check them out on all of their various platforms. They're good people. They're some of my favorite people in the world. The Generational Gap, of course, being up tonight. The R-Rated Conservative being 5 nights a week, so you can go check all of us out over there. It's going to be a great time. One, we're back up and running. We will have methodology for you to directly support great creators. Hopefully, I'm one of those great creators you like to support, or there are tips and links in the chat as well, so come back and hit one of those. If you think I do a good job, throw me a tip, or join the Discord, or join the Gilded, or follow me on Twitter. All kinds of fun stuff over there. And once we're up and running, you can support our creators and buy merch and help us support great creators. All right, in on the finance to start off in the morning here. The Dow went up yesterday to 34,021.45. That was it's a fairly significant rise at least, but I kind of knew this was going to happen. It did stay flat throughout the majority of the day. It had a big rise at the beginning and then just kind of done, flat throughout the rest of the day here. And I kind of figured it was going to happen just because once the gas started flowing again, all the industrials looked up and said, oh, well, hey, we can transport our shit again. We can get our shitty products all across the country here, so hey, let's go get that. Let's buy into this stuff and invest into it again. So that's what they have to say with that. Oh, I did want to say one other thing here, by the way, you guys, before we got started into the Dow. I looked at my stats yesterday, and it looks like I am on the cusp of affiliate for Twitch. Now, I know Twitch is the lesser of the platforms, it's the least of the platforms, unless you're using mobile, because Chilaga seems to like it just because it seems to be more in time with the rest of the stream. But if I can keep 3 viewers concurrently viewing on average for 30 days, then I'll hit affiliate and I can start monetizing this chat, which that'll be cool because then Amazon can start paying me a little bit and then I'll have to completely depend on you guys. Not that I don't like to depend on you guys, but then if we can take Bezos' money too, that'd be kind of cool. All right, anyway, looking in on that. So yeah, that's what I saw with the gas. Let's look in at the Bitcoin for the morning. Your Bitcoin is back up after its tumble. It's not back up to where it was, but it's starting to climb itself back up. We are at $50,413 and 60 US cents for the Bitcoin. So I hope that you guys got an opportunity to buy the dip if that's something that you want, or your financial advisor thinks that's something that's feasible. Note, this is not official financial advice. Speak with your certified financial advisor for what's going to be best for you, your family, and your portfolio. Looking at the gas. Hey, has anybody bought into OPEC yet? Because that seems like that'd be a good play right now. Woodman's Markets in Madison, Wisconsin. That's in Madison proper, is at $2.69. Otherwise, the 260s are gone too. We are at $2.79 almost everywhere, with one station on the Beltline up to $2.99. We're looking at $3 a gallon gas. Hey, you remember what it was last year? Tripled gas from last year. Are you guys ready for that there? Casey's on out in Blue Mountains is $2.89. Otherwise, we're seeing a lot of $2.79, $2.79. So there's your gas right there, $3 a gallon in Wisconsin. And some of you are higher, some of you are lower, but that's where it is here. So we've been able to track this from, well, the beginning of the year. I said right from the beginning of the Biden presidency, we're going to look at what gas is going to be coming up in here. And where did we start? What wasn't it, like $2.30, $2.40 when we started tracking it? And now it's $2.99 at the highest. Ridiculous. It's like they don't want you to travel. But it is also like we just looked at a shortage too. So some of this may change coming up in the near future. All right, let's see what the investors have to say. Excuse me. Dow Jones futures set to extend market rally, rebound, but what to do now? Disney, Coinbase lead earnings movers. From Ed Carson. Dow Jones futures rose early Friday morning, along with S&P 500 futures and NASDAQ futures, as the stock market rally looks to extend Thursday's rebound. Bitcoin tried to steady as rival cryptocurrency Dogecoin soared on Elon Musk tweets. Yes. The stock market rally got a much-needed win Thursday, helped by the CDC announcing new guidelines that vaccinated people no longer need to wear a mask in most situations. Dow Jones giant Walt Disney and newly public crypto asset sales platform Coinbase headlined key earnings late on Thursday. The stock market rally had a positive session even as Bitcoin tumbled, but while the major indices strengthened, the overall weak conditions remain. Apple and Microsoft rebounded but hit resistance. Tesla and Square, meanwhile, fell through their 200-day line as highly valued growth names continued to slump. An opening bounce faded through much of the morning, with the NASDAQ briefly turning negative in the early afternoon, but stocks shored up on the news that the CDC recommended lifting most mask requirements and social distancing guidelines for fully vaccinated people. I wonder if they came out and did this because the Dow was so fucking down over the fuel. I do have to wonder if that was the case. I didn't even think about that when I was looking at the Dow line this morning. I have to wonder if they looked up and said, what do we do? The stocks are going to tank. We're going to lose the market again. Hey, let's lift the mask mandate because then everyone will think they can go the fuck back out. Still, the uptrend remains under pressure. Energy stocks fell as crude prices slumped. Many tested or undercut recent buy points or triggered automatic sell signals from failed breakouts. Housing did well as Treasury yields pulled back after several days, but recent housing-related breakouts, Floor & Decor, and AZEK tumbled. Chip gear makers bounced back, but aren't in position yet. Disney earnings come in after the close, along with Coinbase and recent IPOs Airbnb, Cricket, and DoorDash. Disney's earnings topped views, but revenue fell short. Disney Plus subscribers climbed to 103.6 million, below some expectations. Disney stock retreated nearly 4% before the open. Shares edged up 0.3% to 178.34 on Thursday. Disney stock is in a flat base with a 203.12 buy point, according to MarketSmith analysis, but has been drifting lower since early March, trading below its 50-day line for the past month. Coinbase earnings and sales soared in the first quarterly report, but just missed analyst views. User growth is strong in overnight trade. Coinbase stock climbed 4%. Coin stock fell 6.5% to 265.10 on Thursday. Coin stock came in public via direct listing on April 14th, hitting 429.54 intraday, but trending lower ever since. Beyond the ups and downs of Bitcoin, Coinbase faces concerns about competition from other crypto trading platforms, from startups to Wall Street banks. Coinbase earnings came just after Bitcoin and other cryptos tumbled on negative views. Elon said on Wednesday that Tesla would no longer accept Bitcoin for vehicle purchases, citing environmental concerns. Also, the Justice Department and IRS reportedly are probing Binance, the world's biggest cryptocurrency exchange, on money laundering and tax evasion concerns. Bitcoin price plunged late Wednesday, but are now stabilizing below 51,000. Meanwhile, Musk returned to tout Dogecoin yet again, tweeting Thursday evening, working with Doge devs to improve system transaction efficiency. Separately, Coinbase said it will start trading Dogecoin in a few weeks. Dogecoin shot up on the news. Yes. Turning higher after erasing steep Thursday losses. Best fucking $20 I ever spent. All right, let's hit the futures quick and let's see what CNBC has to say. On the futures, Dow futures rose 0.5% versus fair value. S&P 500 futures climbed 0.7%. NASDAQ 100 futures jumped 1.1%, which, keep in mind, they were the ones that got beat the fuck out of the most in this last drop. Apple, Microsoft, Tesla, and Square were among the big caps lifting the major indices. The 10-year Treasury yield fell modestly, extending Thursday's retreat following several days of gains. Remember, overnight action in Dow futures and elsewhere doesn't necessarily translate into actual trading in the next regular stock market session. All right, let's see what CNBC has to say. 5 things to know before the stock market opens on Thursday from Yoon Lee. Number 1, Dow is set to extend sell-off with futures falling again. The blue chip Dow is slated to extend Wednesday's steep losses after higher than forecast consumer prices prompted investors to dump risk assets. Dow futures fell about 90 points Thursday. NASDAQ futures and those tied to the S&P erased earlier losses and traded in the green. In the previous session, the 30 stock Dow fell more than 600 points. Is this old news? What is this? Published May 13th, 7:30 a.m. This is old news. This is yesterday's news. Why the hell are we reading this? All right. Well, never mind. We will move on from this then, because everything in here is going to be old from yesterday. We've had a lot to change since then. All right. Let's start domestically today then, starting with the Blaze. Good old Glenn Beck. Let's see what he's got to say. Colonial Pipeline reportedly paid hackers nearly $5 million in ransom after a cyber attack. You want to see a guy in a mask get pissed off in a hurry? Go talk to my friend Seawall over in the Discord chat and ask him how he feels about this. I got the opportunity to do that yesterday. If you see him in the chat today, go ask him how he feels about this, because he is a tech guy. He actually is, I can't say what he is, but he works with code and whatnot. He's a cyber IT guy, and yeah, he's not happy about this. He went as far as to say that the people, if the tech guys in Colonial were the ones who decided to cave to this, they should all be fired and blackballed. He is not happy about this. But hey, you guys should go talk to him and ask him about it. He'll tell you. He's perfectly willing to tell you how he feels about this one. He's not shy. From Paul Saka. After a debilitating and embarrassing cyber attack that crippled the supply chain for days, the Colonial Pipeline Company buckled to the demands of hackers and paid nearly $5 million in ransom. Bloomberg reported Thursday afternoon. That's Ron Helton's favorite magazine, by the way, Bloomberg. From his favorite politician. NBC and CNBC confirmed the report by speaking to a source familiar with the situation, and an anonymous U.S. official, Nicole Pearl Roth, cybersecurity reporter for the New York Times, a former newspaper, reported Colonial paid the hackers 75 Bitcoin on Monday. Ooh, that's a bunch of money, too, in U.S. dollars. The company paid the hefty ransom in difficult-to-trace cryptocurrency. It's literally on every ledger. Difficult to trace. Fuck you. It's on the ledger for at least 100 different computers. Difficult to trace. Yeah, okay. That just made me completely fucking suspect at this point. The fact that they used Bitcoin. At least, at a bare minimum, 100 different computers have a record of that transaction and the transaction that happens with every single one of those Bitcoin. It's suspicion, 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 suspicion. Everything about this tells me suspicion, suspicion. The company paid the hefty ransom, I read that already, in difficult to trace cryptocurrency within hours after the attack. Underscoring the immense pressure faced by the Georgia-based operator to get gasoline and jet fuel flowing again to major cities along with the eastern seaboard, those people said, according to Bloomberg, a third person familiar with the situation said U.S. government officials are aware that Colonial made the payment. Once the ransom was paid, the hackers provided Colonial Pipeline with a decrypting tool to restore its disabled computer network, but the tool was so slow that the company continued using its own backups to help restore the system, one of the people familiar with the company's efforts told Bloomberg. Then why the fuck did you pay the ransom, goddammit? And Sewell had it right. He came out and said, if it was him, and honestly, if it was me too, me knowing almost nothing about the tech that goes on behind this, and Sewell knowing something about the tech that goes on behind this, he and I would have had the same thing. We came to the same conclusion. If it was either of us, and the situation happened to us, we'd come out and say, okay, well, we're going to run the pipeline manually for a little while, so be prepared to go do that, line workers. Meanwhile, we are going to torch the system with holy fire and start from scratch with backups that we have. And then rebuild the security infrastructure as soon as we get that back up and running. Because somebody got in and they think they're going to hold us fucking hostage. No, that's not going to happen. A representative from the Colonial Pipeline Company declined to comment on the ransom, but told Bloomberg that the company began to resume fuel shipments around 5 p.m. Eastern Time on Wednesday. Colonial Pipeline has made substantial progress in safely restarting our pipeline system and can report that product delivery has commenced in a majority of the markets we service, Colonial's website said in a Thursday update. By midday today, we project that each market we service will be receiving product from our system. Thursday's update that Colonial Pipeline paid the hefty ransom contradicts earlier reports that the energy company had no intention on paying the ransom. We could actually probably skip this next article. Or not this one, but this one here, the Fox Business one, because it looks like here's going to be the houseplant chief's comments. Let's have a listen.
Mr. President, would you take on more on the ransom? Were you briefed on the fact that the company did pay the ransom?
I have no comment on that. Thank you.
Okay, we'll talk still about the article here. You still gotta love the people coming out here to try to do this with a mask here.
Mr. President, do you know what could have possibly happened? And were you briefed on any of this?
Let me grab that here for 80s Kid. Yeah, sorry about that. That's my weekend project. I'm going to fix the links in the description because I did change my Twitch extension. So that's on me. That's my bad. But thank you, 80s Kid. Thank you, absolutely, 80s Kid, for coming and hanging out with us and helping us get to affiliate. 30 days. That's all we need. And then you can pop in and use your preferred platform. But for 30 days, we can get monetized. And I like being monetized. I like money. And I like Bezos' money, too. All right, but that's what we have going on with this. Let's grab one here briefly from Yahoo News. Cybercrime experts suggest Colonial Pipeline's ransom was so low because DarkSide messed up. From Peter Weber. Colonial Pipeline paid the Eastern European hackers who attacked his network 75 Bitcoin. Darknet is local, you guys. But it's Russia! It's Russia! Colonial Pipeline paid the Eastern European hackers who attacked its network 75 Bitcoin, worth almost $5 million at the time of the ransom payment. The New York Times, a former newspaper, and the Wall Street Journal reported Thursday evening. Backing up a report in Bloomberg News, the ransom payment to DarkSide, a group of cyber criminals in or near Russia, allowed Colonial to start restoring its network and work to reopen its massive pipeline from Texas to the East Coast, where gas stations are running out of gas amid panic buying of constrained supplies. Full restoration of gas service will take several days. The federal government discourages such payments on the grounds that they encourage further ransomware attacks. So do at least one IT professional, by the way. But many companies, local governments, and other organizations opt to pay ransom because not doing so, leaving the company data locked in encryption or leaked or sold on the web, would cost more, and because insurance often covers the payments. And then they'll be back in again. I'll have to link this one back out to Seawell after we're done. Ransomware attacks are a big and growing problem for businesses of all size and scope. A report last month from a ransomware task force said payments rose by 311% in 2020 to about $350 million paid in crypto, and the average payout was $312,493. Bloomberg reports, but a ransom for a large corporation like Colonial tends to be much larger, and DarkSide, in particular, boasts of going after the big fish. Colonial had to pay cyber expert and digital forensics executive Andrej Krahel told Bloomberg, "This is a cyber cancer. You want to die or you want to live. It's not a situation where you can wait, but the $5 million ransom was very low," he added. Ransom is usually around $25 million to $35 million for such a company. I think that the threat actor realized they stepped on the wrong company and triggered a massive government response. Or, and this is the other side of this, they were working with the government. That's another thing to keep in mind, and I would love to see the ledgers on this Bitcoin that just went out too, by the way. President Biden, under attack from Republicans over the gas shortages, signed an executive order to beef up cybersecurity after the Colonial attack, and he told reporters Thursday that the U.S. might retaliate against cybercriminals and pursue a measure to disrupt their ability to operate. 8 websites associated with DarkSide were down Thursday, the Times reports, though it wasn't clear if the U.S. was involved. Yeah, okay. I don't look at this administration, I don't see the competence to do something like this. Excuse me. All right. Let's grab this one here from Fox Business, and then we got to go talk about Israel. Biden refuses to say, come on, if he knew Colonial Pipeline paid hackers $4 million to $5 million to get the pipeline back online. Go away, Fox News advertisement. Per reports from Jonathan Garber. Colonial Pipeline Company likely paid more than $4 million to hackers in order to get its pipeline back up and running. The payments have been made to the terrorist billionaire John Katzamatid. I don't even know how to pronounce that name. Let's break this down. Let's sound it out, shall we? Just like we did when we were in kindergarten. Ready? John Katzamatidis, I think is what that's going to be. Told Fox Business's Maria Bartiromo on Thursday morning. I understand from my source that $4 million was paid, 75 Bitcoin. So, do the math on that. When asked by reporters if he knew about the ransom payment, President Biden said he had no comment, man. A restarting of the pipeline will be in the next few days to help restore the flow of gasoline across the eastern part of the U.S. where fuel shortages were abundant. The 5,500-mile Colonial Pipeline, which transports more than 100 million gallons of fuel per day, or almost half the East Coast supply, was taken offline on Friday by a Russian hacking group called DarkSide that demanded $100 million in ransom. I don't think they're Russians, yo. I really don't. About 68% of gas stations in North Carolina reported fuel outages, according to Gas Buddy. Roughly half the gas stations in Georgia, South Carolina, Washington, D.C., and Virginia also reported outages. Dude, the gas stations in Washington, D.C. That's got to be a big chunk of fucking money right there. I remember what the gas prices were in DC proper when I was down there last summer, where every place around there was between $1.09 and 91 cents. In DC proper, it was $3.85. In the station that was closest to Steven's house at the time, $3.85 for gas in Washington D.C. proper. That's fucking insanity. So I can't imagine what it is now. It's got to be over $6 in D.C. Given what we're looking at now, it's got to be, with all the taxes and shit that they got on there. Katsumatitis added the pipeline will be flowing by Monday at the latest. So, and if you're over on the Twitch, YouTube, DLive side, you can see we've got the map from where this goes from Houston up through Louisiana, through Baton Rouge, Atlanta, goes down to Bainbridge, Georgia, up to Nashville and Knoxville, out to Greensboro, North Carolina, Norfolk, Virginia, all the way up to Linden, New Jersey. And I'm sure that even with trucking, too, on top of that, it goes further beyond Linden. It probably goes into Pennsylvania, up into Mass and Connecticut, and the rest of New England as well. So, yeah, I bet you this whole thing supplies a lot of people. Plus, the Dakota Access Pipeline got shut down, too. So, a lot of stuff looking at with this. All right. Let's grab one. Let's shift gears here. Let's talk about Israel, starting with the Associated Press. Start your day with AP Morning Wire. No! Israel threatens Gaza ground invasion despite truce efforts, from Joseph Fetterman and Faris Akram. Israel on Thursday said it was massing troops along the Gaza frontier, calling up 9,000 reservists ahead of a possible ground invasion of the Hamas-ruled territory. As the two bitter enemies plunged closer to all-out war, Egyptian mediators rushed to Israel for ceasefire efforts but showed no signs of progress. The stepped-up fighting came as communal violence in Israel erupted for a fourth night, with Jewish and Arab mobs clashing in the flashpoint town of Lod. The fighting took place despite a bolstered police presence ordered by the nation's leaders. The 4-day burst of violence has pushed Israel into uncharted territory, dealing with the most intense fighting it ever had with Hamas while simultaneously coping with the worst Jewish-Arab violence inside Israel in decades. A late-night barrage of rocket fire from Lebanon that landed in the sea threatened to open a new front along Israel's northern border. Salah Aruri, an exiled senior Hamas leader, told Lebanon-based satellite channel Al Arabi early Friday that his group has turned down a proposal for three-hour lull to allow for more negotiations toward a full ceasefire. He said Egypt, Qatar, and the UN were leading the truce efforts. Also early Friday, the Israeli military said air ground troops struck Gaza in what appeared to be the heaviest attacks yet. Masses of red flames illuminated the skies as the deafening blast from the outskirts of Gaza City jolted the people awake. The strikes were so strong that screams of fear could be heard from the people inside the city several kilometers away. I said we would extract a heavy price from Hamas, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said in a videotaped statement. We are doing that, and we will continue to do that with heavy force. The fighting broke out late Monday when Hamas, claimed to be the defender of Jerusalem, fired a barrage of long-range rockets toward the city in response to what it said were Israeli provocations. Israel quickly responded with a series of airstrikes. Since then, Israel has attacked hundreds of targets in Gaza. The strike set off scores of earth-shaking explosions across its densely populated territory. Gaza militants have fired nearly 2,000 rockets into Israel, bringing life into the southern part of the country to a standstill. Several barrages targeted the seaside metropolis of Tel Aviv, some 70 kilometers away. Gaza's health ministry said the death toll has climbed to 109 Palestinians, including 28 children and 15 women, with 621 people wounded. The Hamas and Islamic Jihad militant groups have confirmed 20 deaths in their ranks, though Israel says that the number is much higher. 7 people have been killed in Israel, including a 6-year-old boy. So, a lot of stuff happening with this. Once again, and we'll go just a little bit over the timeline here. It does look like, as far as I know, and if somebody can find me a further back description of what's going on here, it looks like, from everything that I can see and tell from this, that Israel was the aggressor in this in an eviction attempt coming out of a certain district in Jerusalem. I forget the name of it right now, and I probably couldn't pronounce it if I tried. But that led to the protests at the Al-Aqsa Mosque, which led to the crackdown on the Al-Aqsa Mosque, and, here we are. It's one side goes a little bit further than the other side each time, and, I mean, it's been brewing for a while. And I know that people would come back out and say that, okay, well, Palestine was afraid to do this under President Trump, and they probably were. That's the thing of it, is, for all of his faults, he did know military policy for whatever reason, in spite of the fact that the guy bone spread out of the fucking military. But he knew that, okay, I'm going to drop a bomb somewhere nearby, and these people are going to listen to what I have to say. And for the most part, they did. But now we're sitting here, and, I mean, what happens? What's happening now? Biden's negotiating the nuclear peace deal with Iran, who's giving money out to Palestine. I believe he gave some money directly to Palestine, too. So there's that going on as well. And just, it's a whole fucking mess. It is a massive mess. If we ever wanted to figure out who was at fault, we would be sorting through for days. The mainstream media will come out and give you just this little soundbite here of, oh, this person's at fault or this person's at fault, depending on what their ideology is. But for the most part, if we really wanted to sort out who is at fault of this and where all the money came from, it would take us months to go back through all the paper trail of all this stuff. But now they're looking at ground strikes, too, and ground invasion, which that's where stuff's going to start to get hairy, people. All right, let's grab one here from Reuters for you guys. Israel fires artillery into Gaza. Palestinian rocket attacks persist. From Nidal al-Mughrabi and Jeffrey Heller. Israel fired artillery and mounted more airstrikes on Friday against Palestinian militants in the Gaza Strip amid constant rocket fire deep into Israel's commercial center. And do keep in mind that they're much, much further into Friday than we are right now due to the time difference as well. If I remember my geography and my time zones correctly, they are just getting into the end of the workday right now, whereas we are just getting into the beginning of our workday. As hostilities enter the fifth day with no sign of abating, Israeli military said in a statement shortly after midnight that the air and ground forces were attacking the Hamas-run enclave. Rocket barrages from Gaza swiftly followed. Although the statement gave no further details, Israeli military affairs correspondents who are briefed regularly by the armed forces said it was not a ground invasion and that troops were firing artillery from Israel's side of the border. Residents of northern Gaza near the Israeli frontier said they had seen no signs of Israeli ground forces inside the enclave, but reported heavy artillery fire and dozens of airstrikes. Israeli Prime Minister Ben Netanyahu said on Thursday that the campaign will take more time. Israeli officials said Hamas, Gaza's most powerful militant group, must be dealt a strong deterring blow before any ceasefire. The sound of explosions echoed across northern and eastern parts of Gaza. Witnesses said many families living near the border quit their homes, some seeking shelter at the UN-run schools. Violence also spread into mixed communities of Jews and Arabs. In Israel, a new front in the long conflict, synagogues were attacked and the fighting broke out on the streets of some towns, prompting Israel's president to warn of civil war. Excuse me. Well, here we are. So, a lot more stuff going on with that. Let's grab one here from NBC. Israel steps up Gaza bombardment. Palestinians flee as fear of invasion grows. I think this is going to be a lot of the same information that we just saw. From Alexander Smith. Israel stepped up its bombardment of Gaza early Friday as tanks and artillery joined in aerial attacks, an escalation that intensified fears of an all-out invasion. Days of fighting between Israel and Hamas, the militant group that governs the Gaza Strip, has killed more than 100 Palestinians, including 31 children. Many fled their homes, and now they're going to hide me behind the fucking paywall too. Let's refresh this and see if it does anything. But we reloaded, so now they have to come back and say, please turn off your ad blocker because we want to show you advertisements and slow down your computer even further. On-air production, guys. The best thing in the world. We're not Fox over here. I'm just a guy in my living room with a webcam and a microphone. And a cell phone, too, because I've got someone on Instagram as well. Remember, if you guys are just lurking right now, get those last-minute messages in, because today is live chat day, so you'll get thanked and your live chat read on air. Let's see. Many fled their homes in the tiny impoverished enclave as ground forces joined Israel's intensifying response, and a wave of Arab-Jewish communal unrest swept across the country for another night. Israel said it carried out a 40-minute pre-dawn barrage of 160 strikes aimed at destroying the vast network of tunnels used by Hamas, which is classified as a terrorist organization by Israel and the U.S. Hamas continued firing rockets in Israel. It has launched 1,800 missiles this week, a barrage that has killed 8 Israelis, including 1 child, wounded hundreds of others, and sent people fleeing into bomb shelters in Tel Aviv and other cities. Israel has called up 9,000 reservists and massed troops along its border with Gaza, which is home to 2 million Palestinians. I have to imagine that this is what everybody thought was going to happen between the U.S. and Russia between like 1975 and 1994. I'm sorry, the Soviet Union at the time. I have to imagine that's what it was like for the people back in the 70s, except for the fact that the Gaza Strip and Israel share a border with each other. So they don't have to just go across the fucking ocean at each other. They can just back after each other that way. So, I mean, that's what we see coming back from that. Let's keep moving on with this, but there's just so much off of this. All right. We are going to shift gears once again. Let's talk about the masks, shall we? From the Hill. Please allow ads to support our journalism. They want you to have that ad blocker off because they want to show you ads, guys. They really want to show you guys ads. CDC says vaccinated people can take masks off indoors and outdoors. Aren't you guys excited? We were all good little boys and girls, and now we can take the masks off. Look at that, you guys. And then, when we have a press conference, we don't have to hear the reporter say,
Mr. President, please tell us how cute is your dog? Can you tell us that? How much do you love your wife, Mr. President? Can you tell us that as well? Please tell us. Please be kind. Hey, how many chocolate chip cookies did you have before bed last night, Mr. President? Oh, you had a third one. That could be a scandal.
This is from Nathaniel Weichsel. People who are fully vaccinated against COVID-19 can safely resume life without any restrictions, according to a long-awaited federal guidance released on Thursday. The CDC says if you are fully vaccinated 2 weeks past the last required COVID-19 vaccine dose, you don't need to wear a mask indoors or outside, and you don't need to maintain physical distance. I gotta wonder, A, if this is because the gas prices went to shit and took the markets with them, or if this is because they actually introduced the resolution to fire that asshole Dr. Anthony Fauci, or if this is because, well, they're losing control on the narrative and they don't want people talking about this stuff. There are a lot of different things where this could come back out, but they're losing the narrative anyway. And honestly, and I don't know how it is in other states. I've seen some photos out of California where everybody is outside and masked up to 17 masks and 18 masks and whatnot. But hell, I live in Wisconsin. I've seen probably grand total in what have we been doing this for? 15 months? 15 months I've seen a grand total of 10 masks outdoors. 10 of them. Most of the time when people hit that threshold and they're officially back outdoors, fucking thing goes off. And good for those people too. Hell, I rarely wear one anyway. Like I said, I won't wear one into the Quick Trip because I like Quick Trip, but they don't say anything at the Quick Trips here in town. If you go into the bigger city, I'm sure that they do, but you know that's a private property thing for me. Like, I like Quick Trip. I will abide by their rules as much as I think they fucking blow. I like their service, I like the food that they have, and I like their food service. So I will wear one to Quick Trip. The change is a monumental shift in how the agency has communicated about the risks of the commie fucking coup and the benefits of the vaccines, and is a major step towards reopening America in time for the July 4th holiday. Essentially, for vaccinated people, life can begin to return to normal. Never stopped. Anyone who is fully vaccinated can participate in indoor and outdoor activities, large or small, without wearing a mask or physical distancing, CDC Director Rochelle Walensky said during the White House briefing. If you are fully vaccinated, you can start doing the things you had stopped doing because of the commie coup. We have all longed for this moment when we can get back to some sense of normalcy. The new guidelines do not apply to healthcare settings, correctional facilities, or homeless shelters, the agency said. People also need to follow local business and workplace guidance, so masks are likely to continue to be required in private businesses. And if you patronize those businesses, you should wear a mask. If you are standing in front of the local Woodman's or whatever the hell the grocery store is you have in insert state here, if you're going into that grocery store and it's got a big ass sign in bright yellow up front that says, face coverings required, and you wish to do business with them, they are a private industry. You are walking onto their private property, and if you're not abiding by their rules, you're trespassing. So keep that in mind, especially my libertarian friends who abide by the non-aggression principle. Or, and this is the better part of this, don't do business with them if you disagree with their idea. That's the other thing. If you disagree with their ideas about masking, don't do business with them. It's plain and simple. I know sometimes that gets a little bit hard in some of your bigger cities, but yeah. That's one of the things. Like in town here, there's an unnamed town once again, but in town here, there's a little meat shop that I like to go to. It's a little bit more expensive. I'll give them that. So if I wanted to get meat for the cheapest price possible, I would have to go to like the grocery store that has the mask requirements. But, you know, you like to buy local and everything. Plus, they don't enforce the mask mandate. You walk in there without it, nobody says a word to you, and half of them, they turn around because they're all wearing like one around their necks, and they start to pull it back up, and they see you're not wearing one, and they just drop the fucking thing. Anyway, so yeah, if we were good little boys, so now they're gonna let us have our freedom back. But only if you're fully vaccinated. But I'm sure that everybody here is fully vaccinated too, aren't you guys? Aren't you guys? You guys all want to go out and get the vaccine. But that's what we see coming back from that. Let's do some more Corona stuff here. This one here I looked up because I was looking through the chat this morning and I saw that Quest Fanning mentioned this in the chat, so I wanted to see what was going on with this. This comes to us from CNBC. At least 11 states ending unemployment benefits early. Gig workers may still be able to keep them. From Greg Iakursi. At least 11 states are opting out of federal unemployment benefits this month early. But some workers may be able to keep the extended benefits. The moves, made by officials in Republican-led states, would cut off benefits as early as June 12th. The aid includes the extra $300 a week paid on top of the typical state benefits, the long-term unemployed, as well as self-employed and gig workers, will lose their entitlements to benefits outright. The American Rescue Plan offered these funds through September 6th. This is really hastening the benefits cliff, according to Nicole Marquez, Director of Social Insurance and the National Employment Law Project. We're concerned with states taking that action abruptly and prematurely. Montana Governor Greg Gianforte started the domino effect on May 4th. Since then, at least 10 others have announced that they will exit the federal unemployment programs, which have been in place since March of 2020. They include Alabama, Arkansas, Idaho, Iowa, Mississippi, Missouri, North Dakota, South Carolina, Tennessee, and Wyoming. More may soon follow. Officials attributed the decisions to labor shortages in their respective states. Enhanced benefits, they claim, are keeping people from returning to work and making it difficult for businesses to hire for open jobs. The decision is based on fundamental conservative principle. We do not want people in unemployment. Idaho Governor Brad Little said on Tuesday, "We want people working." Well, yeah, if people are working, they're improving your GDP. And honestly, the other side of this here is if you get people working, A, they're going to pick up some of those jobs, but the businesses looking at this saying, hey, we've got a pool of untapped workers over here in the middle of bumblefuck Wyoming. I'm going to move a business there because I'm going to take advantage of these new workers here that that we can come up and we can get them jobs too, because they want to go to work, and I have jobs, and I have people in my state that don't want to go to work. So this could cause a fundamental shift in the business climate in this country. People going where the workers are, essentially. So we'll see what happens with that. But that's interesting. It's an interesting way to do this, too. I mean, if people really are in need, then I do support them having that. And I understand, too, that, I mean, gig workers are going to look at this, and they're still going to have reduced volume. Like your Uber driver, for instance. People aren't going to be taking Ubers because they don't want to be in the small, confined car with another person who may or may not have the commie coof. So to have a safety net for them, I do agree with, to an extent, until everyone else starts dipping their toe in the water and figuring out that they're not going to die as soon as they step 6 inches out of their house. And we'll see what happens with this. All right, from CNN. Congressional Democrats have a 100% vaccination rate. It's not a cult, folks. Trust me, it's not a cult. It's not a religion, and it's not a cult. From Lauren Pox, Kristen Wilson, Sarah Fortinsky, and Ali Zaslav. 4 authors, 1 article. It's kind of like 2 girls, 1 cup. Although the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention announced Thursday that people fully vaccinated against the commie coof do not need to wear masks or practice social distancing indoors, but you are very much encouraged to continue to practice social distancing, especially if you're around me. I don't want you up my ass. Stay 6 feet away from me, please. Except under special circumstances, the House mask requirement will remain in place until all members and floor staff are fully vaccinated. Now, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi said, when asked if the rule mandating masks unless a member is speaking on the House floor would be modified, she then asked, "Are they all vaccinated?" The answer among Democrats across both chambers is a 100% vaccination rate. For Republicans, it's a different story, with at least 44.8% of House members vaccinated and at least 92% of senators. In a follow-up to a March House-wide survey and interviews with members, CNN has confirmed that 312 of the 431 members of the House, just over 72% of the 431-member body, have now received a commie coof vaccination. Of that, all 219 House Democrats have reported being vaccinated. Among the Republicans conference, 95 of the 212, or 44.8%, have said they are vaccinated. 112 Republican offices did not respond to multiple CNN inquiries, so that number could actually be much higher as well, but, you know, we won't know until they come out and say that, and they will not respond for inquiry. So, that's the point that they have to, look how virtuous the Democrats are that they're all vaccinated. Dude, if you want to get a vaccine, get a vaccine. If you don't, go watch The Price is Right. It's not my problem. From the New York Post. Bill Maher contracts COVID despite being vaccinated, from Jesse O'Neill. Comedian Bill Maher has tested positive for COVID-19 despite being fully vaccinated. The political humorist said he feels fine, but decided to halt the taping of his talk show Real Time with Bill Maher on Friday, according to Variety. No other staff or crew members on the program have tested positive. The outlet reports the news comes hours after the New York Yankees shortstop Gleyber Torres became the latest member of the baseball organization to test positive for the virus, despite also being inoculated. 8 Yankees employees are now among the thousands of Americans who have been diagnosed with the breakthrough positive cases. COVID-19 vaccines are effective and are a critical tool to bring the pandemic under control. However, no vaccines are 100% effective at preventing illness, the CDC's website reads. There will be a small percentage of people who are fully vaccinated who will still get sick, are hospitalized, or die from COVID-19. Yeah, that's a real incentive for me to go and get more of the vaccine. Definitely, like I say, for me, I was actually quite excited for this vaccine when it came out. Because I'm thinking, yay, They took the safeguards off. We could see how fast we can get something to market. I'll wait a little while for people to all go out and get vaccinated just to make sure, because it got to the market really quick. But the free market did this, and I'm kind of excited to see what the free market can do. And then they started tossing around that word mandatory, and I lost interest in a hurry because it's the mandatory side of it. Good ideas are rarely mandatory. Good ideas are almost never mandatory. If they need to mandate something like that, then they've got an ulterior motive, usually. So I lost interest in it. And now we keep seeing people are fully vaccinated and they still get sick with this thing. Which, didn't Maher have this like last year too, I thought? I don't remember. I thought he did. Alright, let's grab one from ABC for you guys. Where COVID-19 has and hasn't spread since states reopened, analysis from Samara Lin and Ivan Pereira. Bars, gyms, and restaurants, those were just a few settings, health experts.
Good evening, and it's great to have you with us as we start another week together here, and we begin to...
Autoplay scared the crap out of me. Whew. I didn't even know who the hell was talking in my ears. Bars, gyms, and restaurants, those were just a few settings health experts warned could become hotbeds for COVID-19 spread as states began reopening in the spring and summer of 2020 following the first and second waves of coronavirus pandemic in the U.S. Yet public data analyzed by ABC News appears to tell a different story. The data from the states across the country suggests specific outbreak settings, including bars, gyms, and restaurants, nail salons, barbershops, and stores. For the full list, see graphic below in our story. Only accounted for a small percentage, if any, of the new outbreaks after the pandemic's initial wave in 2020. Yeah, you remember when they told you that if you wanted to go have a chicken McGriddle in McDonald's that you were going to kill grandma? Well, it seems that doesn't seem to be the case anymore. Give that a second, it's going to reload. Based on ABC's news analysis of public data for all coronavirus cases in 4 states and D.C., the outbreak settings accounted for less than 5% of all COVID-19 cases across those states. Experts who spoke with ABC News said contact tracing efforts around the country were very limited, representing only a fraction of reported new cases, as was testing at specific businesses and locations. This meant that smaller businesses and industries, particularly retail shops, couldn't identify all the cases that spread at the one location, according to Dr. Jason Andrews, an associate professor at the Division of Infectious Diseases and Geographic Medicine at Stanford University's School of Medicine. Breakdown of this, and pretty well the bottom line of this, is that this didn't spread in the places they thought it was going to. For the most part, it probably spread throughout the homes. One person picked it up off of somebody else walking down the street or whatnot, just like you do with the flu, and everybody in the house gets the fucking flu. It's the same thing, because it's an airborne disease, and it's not particularly volatile, except in a very few cases, the obese and the old being 2 of them. Other than that, I mean, if you're relatively, especially if you're young and relatively healthy, you're fine. For the most part. And I'm sure that there were a lot of cases that went undiagnosed just because people, well, I don't have any symptoms. I'm not going to go get tested. All right, let's grab a local one from here in my home state of Wisconsin. I got a couple in a row actually from that. But I appear to be missing one of the articles that I had. That's lame. Where did I put that? Because I had another one with that. Give me just a sec, because I think I have that in the Discord yet. I had it up here because I've got the video that came with it, off of it. Maybe my Discord is just going to act up instead. Yeah, there it is. Did I close that inadvertently? I must have. On-air production once again, you guys. All right. Anyway, let's talk about this one here from TMJ4 out of Milwaukee. Fauci chose as his top name for peregrine falcon chick born at Wisconsin power plant. Maybe I just destroyed my browser instead. Haha, that would be funny. From TMJ4 web staff, Fauci is the top vote getter for one of the peregrine falcon chicks born at We Energies and Wisconsin Public Service power plants this spring. The company's hosted a naming contest in honor of the heroes and helpers of the COVID-19 pandemic, according to a statement Wednesday. Thousands of people voted for the names, the company said, and one honoring Dr. Anthony Fauci came out on top. Because of course it did. Because why wouldn't that one come back out on top? It's not a cult, folks. It's not a religion. It's not a cult. The winners of this year's contest are in order: Fauci in honor of healthcare workers, Beaker in honor of scientists, Checkers in honor of grocery store workers, Siren in honor of first responders, Courage in honor of everyone making the sacrifices to help others, Sparkle in honor of cleaning crews, Kismikia in honor of vaccinators, Energizer in honor of utility workers, Harvest in honor of farmers, Hugs in honor of parents and guardians, Cheers in honor of restaurant and bar workers, Keanu in honor of bus drivers, and Teach in honor of teachers. It's not a cult. It is not a cult, folks. All right. Let me grab the article that I just went back and found quick because I lost it somehow. From News 8000, Sparta teachers' controversial comments start district investigation. Do I have an author given? Yes, I do. Jordan Fremstad. There it is. Sparta, Wisconsin. The Sparta Area School District placed English teacher Jamie Akusko on paid leave pending an investigation by school officials. The audio-only clip on YouTube reveals a conversation between Akusko and her students. Akusko criticized Republicans during the recording. News 8 Now cannot verify the original producer of the video. The Lacrosse Tea Party, a conservative political organization, posted the video on its YouTube page. We did not play the audio because we could not speak to the original producer. A Sparta High School student, who asked to remain anonymous, confirmed what Akusko said in the classroom, but said there is more to these comments. I think a lot of it was taken out of context, and a lot of it was placed together in a certain way. Well, let's watch the video. Let's listen to the video and see what went on with that. And you guys can decide. It's about a 7-minute video. We'll watch probably about half of it. So let's have a listen to that. Give that a second to load back up. All right.
Y'all, that's wishful thinking. We've got to start looking at reality as it's presented to us. And don't be going like Miss Okusko says the whole varsity soccer team has COVID. That is not what I said. I said I happen to know that they're all quarantined. Whether or not they have it, it's none of my business. But you got to tell me that you didn't know that. Some of you are like, well, no, I don't have any friends who are soccer friends. I'm waiting for the football team to follow. Here's a stupid for you. Toma, who has more cases than anybody, jackwagons, they're actually sponsoring a homecoming and a prom combined. I'm sorry? Did someone say Google search for moron? Yes, that's Miss Okusko's 8 a.m. sarcasm coming through. Michaela's just dying. You miss me, Michaela, you do. But gosh, guys. And all I can sit here and think about are those poor little eight-year-olds, those 9, 10-year-olds who need to be in school, but they can't be. Why? Because the high schoolers have to have their sports. Kind of a linear scope, isn't it? When we start thinking about how what we do affects everybody else. We make this decision as a district, not as a building. Oh, and it might very well be maybe the other buildings will go back in and the high school will still be virtual because that's what they did with Southside. So, having said all of that, and making sure that we all very clearly know what's going on in the world around us. You are supposed to have had turned in an outline and a rough draft.
Humans have this overwhelming desire to want to be quote unquote special and elite. And every time someone gains equality, the perception is their elitism and their specialism is stolen. Think about it. So gays can marry, it pisses off a bunch of straight people. Why? Because it's not something that's just theirs anymore. It's not solely their right anymore. It's upsetting. I'm special because I can vote. Well, now black people can vote and women can vote. Well, damn it, now I'm not special enough anymore.
Well, their voice matters too. What?
Wait, well, they're not allowed to have voices.
You're right.
And if they try to special, we're going to squish the hell out of those voices. Just wait for the internet to use it after your papers. I know.
Say to me like because like I thought people didn't know about like, the detainment centers. So it's like, oh, people know about it. They're just ignoring that it's going on.
The world is, it's fair that point if you want. The world is full of minorities. White men just realize that they're a minority yet, or maybe they haven't upset them. Look at all the boomers. Look at all the boomers trying to run Senate and Congress. Old white men. Old white men with these patriarchal ideologies that haven't changed since 1950. And yet the culture around them has changed. So what, they're gonna dig in? Yes, sir.
Isn't it like all the white men that are trying to get rid of birth control and stuff like that? And
Oh yeah.
just a bunch of men.
See, the crazy thing is this. If a district is not school district, but a voting district, is predominantly uneducated, lower class poverty, ironically, they will vote Republican. If you look back at the last couple, decades, the people putting forth these ideas to remove welfare, to remove Social Security, to remove food stamps, it's all Republicans. And yet, uneducated minorities and poor people are voting for it, and then they're like, the Democrats stole my food stamps. That was the Republican senator you voted for. It's the Republicans who are taking those things away. All this education is outrageously priced. Yes. Who's implementing those laws? Well, the Obama administration put together laws that would help make college more affordable. The Trump administration refuses to follow. Why? Because
Yeah, so I can't imagine why this woman's under investigation right now, but yeah, and there are the messages, and we've heard these messages all the time across various portals of education, but yeah, absolutely this woman should be off on investigation because you're not there to spread a political ideology as much as our teachers always did. You are there to give the people ideas so they can form their own conclusions. So there is that. All right, let's talk about Marjorie Taylor Greene. Starting with CNN. Marjorie Taylor Greene confronts Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the Honorable and Venerable D. Twitch, outside the House chamber from Daniela Diaz and Annie Grayer. Republican Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene confronted Democrat Rep. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the Honorable and Venerable D. Twitch, outside the House chamber on Wednesday afternoon, the latest of several confrontations Greene has had with her Democratic colleagues. Ocasio-Cortez left the House chamber late Wednesday afternoon ahead of Greene, who shouted, "Hey, Alexandria!" twice to get her attention, according to the Washington Post, where democracy goes to die in darkness, who first reported this. Greene caught up with Ocasio-Cortez and began shouting at her and asking why she supports Antifa, a far-left activist group, and Black Lives Matter, falsely labeling them as terrorist groups. Greene shouted at Ocasio-Cortez that she was failing to defend her radical socialist beliefs. By declining to publicly debate her, Ocasio-Cortez did not stop to respond to Greene and only turned around once and threw her hands in the air. she's a chicken, or she doesn't want to debate, and I don't think the debate has been agreed to yet, Green told reporters after the Ocasio-Cortez ignored her, referring to her request in tweets to debate the Green New Deal. Audio clips of the incident, which confirmed portions of the language Green used, were provided to CNN by the Capitol Hill press pool. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi jiggled her teeth around and confirmed the incident happened during her weekly news conference on Thursday and suggested it might be for the time for the House Ethics Committee to investigate. It was reported to our office what happened as members were leaving the floors yesterday. The verbal assault and abuse of our colleague, Congresswoman AOC. It's so beyond the pale of anything that is in keeping up with bringing the honor to the House or not bringing dishonor to the House, she said. It's so beyond the pale that you wonder. It's probably a matter of the Ethics Committee. But that's up to someone. I've always kept the leadership offices separate from any motions to take anything to ethics. Bullshit. Bullshit. Your ethics office is the most politicized fucking office in the government right now. But regardless of that, Marjorie Taylor Greene is a plant. She always has been a plant. She always will be a plant. That is what she is. She is a plant. She is in there. She has no committee assignments, keep in mind. And yet the news media continues to focus on her. All she has is a yes or no vote on legislation. She is a plant. She is in there to stir up controversy, and then the news media can come up and say, see, this is what Trump Republicans are. Don't you hate these people? Look at what these people do. I wouldn't be surprised if she's a fucking Democrat. From the Hill. Ocasio-Cortez, the Honorable and Venerable D. Twitch, on Taylor Greene. These are the kind of people that I throw out of the bars all the time. From Aras Folly and Christina Marcos. The Honorable and Venerable Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, D. Twitch, took a swipe at Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene on Thursday, likening her to the kind of people I throw out of bars after the Georgia Republican aggressively confronted her outside the House chamber the day before. I used to be a bartender. These are the kind of people I throw out of bars all the time, Ocasio-Cortez told reporters on Capitol Hill. For me, this isn't even about how I feel, okay, puppy? It's that I refuse to follow young women, people of color, people who are standing up for what they believe. To see this kind of intimidation attempts by a person who supported white supremacists at our nation's capital, she continued. Greene is facing blowback from Democrats on the heels of a Washington Post report that she harassed Ocasio-Cortez on Wednesday and shouted to her as she left the floor. Greene reportedly yelled, "Hey, Alexandria!" according to two Washington Post reporters who witnessed the incident. Ocasio-Cortez reportedly did not stop to address Greene, who went on to press the young progressive on her support for Black Lives Matter, which Greene claimed to be a terrorist group. Why don't you care about the American people? Greene reportedly shouted. Why do you support terrorist Antifa? After Ocasio-Cortez's departure, Greene also reportedly called the Democrat a radical socialist and a chicken who doesn't want to debate the Green New Deal. This is I don't know how anybody takes this woman seriously. If anybody can look at this and say, this is a solemn representative that we must defend to the ends of the earth. I mean, I know the MAGA cult runs fucking deep, but really, honestly, this woman is a moron. And it's almost like she's too much of a moron. That's the thing that gets me. She's too over the top for me to trust that she's actually a real person. Well, she's legitimately a real person, but you know how they claimed that AOC was an actor when they first brought her in? I think that Taylor Greene's an actor too. An actress. All right. Hey, I got some good news for you guys. You know, we see all this bad news about Israel and everything else. Here's some good news for you. Liz Cheney says she's not running for president. Huzzahs are in order. Let the heavens open up. Let the light flow down for there. Liz Cheney is not going to run for president. Ah! Because that's the last thing we fucking need. Is another Cheney in office. I don't even feel like I want to read this entire article because I'm scared it's going to spoil it for me. But the best thing that could have possibly happened in the world, Liz Cheney's not going to run for president. You guys, Liz Cheney is not going to run for president. We won't have a Cheney member of the military-industrial war pig fucking conference as the president of the United States. From Ben Leonard, Representative Liz Cheney isn't running for president, she said in a combative Fox News interview on Thursday. The Wyoming Republican, who recently said she won't rule out running, told Fox's Brett Baier on Thursday that she wasn't throwing her hat in the ring after she was booted from her role as House GOP conference chair on Wednesday. I'm not, Brett, Cheney told Baier, responding to his question about whether she's vying for the 2024 nomination. What I think is really important is that we make sure that the former president, because we know what he's capable of, and because we know how important it is for us to be able to advance Republican ideals, that we make sure that he never again gets anywhere near the Oval Office. In a Today Show interview taped soon after Wednesday's vote, Cheney said she would do whatever it takes to thwart another Donald Trump term when asked whether she'd consider running. Well, how about you go represent your constituency and what the people of Wyoming want? Go spend some time in Cheyenne. House Republicans voted quickly to vote Cheney from her leadership role because of her criticism of Trump. Well, there's that, and there's a litany of other reasons, including the fact that her last name is Cheney. She'll likely be replaced by Representative Elise Stefanik of New York, a moderate-term Trump loyalist. That may actually be worse, but Chip Roy is also looking back up at this, and we'll talk a bit about what's going on with that. From the Texas Tribune, Donald Trump denounces Chip Roy's bid for the U.S. House Republican leadership post. He has not done a great job, okay? From Abby Livingston. As U.S. Rep. Chip Roy made known his intent Thursday to become a third-ranking House Republican, former President Trump released a statement of condemnation of the Austin Republican and reiterated his endorsement for Roy's rival for the post. I can't imagine Republican House members would go with Chip Roy. He's the worst, okay? He has not done a great job, okay? And I will probably be successfully primaried in his own district, Trump said in a press release. I support Elise by far over Chip. The Elise in reference is U.S. Rep. Elise Stefanik, an upstate New York Republican. The flare-up illustrated the increasingly complicated fault lines within the House GOP that its leaders had hoped to put behind them. On Wednesday, House Republicans voted to oust their current conference chair, U.S. Rep. Liz Cheney, over her willingness to challenge the former president's repeated efforts to undermine the public's perception of the country's election integrity and her vote to impeach Trump after the January 6th. Where's the iPod? There it is. Selfie Fest! Yeah, there are other problems with Cheney, and there are some problems with Roy too, and there are definite problems with Elise Stefanik. I don't think I would want to see any of these people be the next in line for the Republican Party, third in line. But I would like to see a lot of these fucking cocksucker warhawks get taken out of there. Like Liz Cheney when she goes home to get primaried next time around. So, I don't know. They've all got their problems. It's like choosing one turd over another turd at this point. All right. Let's grab one here from The Blaze. I got just a few more here. What do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I got 5 more. That's 10. Why the fuck did I do 10? I got 5 more, and then we will do a live chat for the day. From The Blaze, Republican Representative Thomas Massie calls out CNN reporter for misrepresenting his comment on January 6th. From Carlos Garcia, Republican Representative Thomas Massie called out a CNN reporter for misrepresenting his comment about the January 6th selfie fest at the U.S. Capitol. CNN's chief congressional correspondent, Manu Raju, stopped Massie to pepper him with questions about the riot, but Massie says his report did not document his comment correctly.
Mr. Massey, do you agree with Trump that the election was rigged or stolen somehow? Mr. Massey, come answer me, please.
We didn't have hearings. There's no way to litigate that up there. If you're in the minority, the DOJ wouldn't investigate it, responded Massey.
There's no evidence of widespread fraud,
replied Raju. That's your opinion, smiled Massey.
Are you concerned by suggesting that there's something wrong that could lead to more violence?
Asked Raju later in the interview. No, Massey replied.
Why?
I don't see any violence, Massey said as he walked away. The CNN report claimed that Massey said, I didn't see any violence, as if he were denying the attacks on the U.S. Capitol in January. You know, the attacks. Are you ready? This is what the attacks were. Hey, Mr. Capitol Police Officer, come over here and get in the picture with us. Massey warned that he may or may not take any more questions from CNN unless the network corrects its report. I said, don't, not didn't. The audio is there for all to hear, Massey said on Twitter. Oh, we've got audio. Let's have a look. New window. New tab. I'm sorry, not new window, new tab. And you guys are blowing up my messages too, by the way. Or my notifications. That's cool, though.
Republicans in the House rewrite the events of January 6th. Many refuse to bat down former President Donald Trump's lie that the 2020 election was rigged.
But do you agree with Trump that the election was rigged or stolen somehow?
We didn't have hearings. There's no way to litigate that up here. If you're in the minority, the DOJ wouldn't investigate it.
I mean, they said there's no evidence of widespread fraud.
That's your opinion.
No, that's what the Justice Department said. Even Jeffrey Rosen testified.
I just told you the DOJ didn't prosecute it. That's Trump's DOJ.
Are you concerned by suggesting that there's something wrong and could lead to more violence here?
No.
Why?
I don't see any violence.
It's a viewpoint shared.
Did he say don't or didn't, you guys? Press 1 in the chat if he said don't, and press 2 in the chat if he said didn't. All right. Let's grab one from Politico. Government watchdog says Fudge violated the Hatch Act. And I'm going to blow up on this in just a second, but let's read a little bit of what's going on with this first. Maybe the browser will just stop. All right, from Danielle Lippman. By the way, if you guys want to throw me a couple bucks for the new computer fund, there are links in the chat to do that. Buy me a coffee. You can go to my, I think my PayPal is in there. I don't know if it is. I don't think I put it in there because the buy me a coffee goes to my PayPal. But you can do Subscribestar. You can go buy me a coffee. Toss me a couple bucks and help me get onto there. I think we're like $500 away from getting there. Plus, and that comes with a bonus I got from work too. The Office of Special Counsel, an independent federal investigative agency, has concluded that Housing and Urban Development Secretary Marcia Fudge violated the Hatch Act earlier this year when she opined on the 2022 Ohio Senate election, according to a letter obtained by Politico. In a March 18th White House press briefing, Fudge, a former Democratic congresswoman from Ohio, was asked whether she wanted to weigh in on who should succeed her in the district's open congressional seat. No, she said with a smile, but a reporter followed up by asking her about the Senate race in her home state. She responded that she had two friends, Representative Tim Ryan and Dayton Mayor Nan Whaley, who were thinking of running. Both have since launched statewide campaigns, though Whaley is running for governor instead. Okay, here is the reality. I'm going to be completely realistic with you guys about this. Everybody in government, especially in the executive branch, but everybody in government, legislators, legislative staff, HUD director, the president, even though it technically doesn't apply to him, the vice president, all of the secretaries, all of the cabinet staff. I think the only people who would be exempt from this would be the Supreme Court justices because of the way that they're picked and nominated by the president. But other than that, everybody in the government has violated the Hatch Act. And nobody should really give a fuck about the Hatch Act. I'm sorry, they've all done it. And the only time anybody cares about the Hatch Act is when it's team fucking sports. It is, and this is what this is. It's team sports. If you run this article by 1,000 people on Twitter, the 795 Democrats will come out and say, but Orange Man did it worse. Oh my God, the Orange Man did it worse. Look at how bad he was. He violated the Hatch Act. And everybody he knows violated the Hatch Act. And the 235 Republicans will come out and say, oh, well, this is very, very bad. This is corruption in the Biden White House. Look at how bad this is. And if Kayleigh McEnany gets up onto her podium under the Trump, or if she continues her job under DeSantis, which I would advise, by the way, if she did the same thing and did a little bit of campaigning from her podium up there, the 735 Democrats on Twitter would be calling for her head on a silver platter in threats that I cannot make on YouTube because that's just Susan bait right there. And the 235 Republicans would say, she didn't do anything wrong. What the hell are you talking about? No, Kayleigh McEnany is holy and just, and we must do whatever Kayleigh McEnany says. All right, so I've got one here. Oh, the Lincoln Project. That was the one that I was going to have fun with. So the Lincoln Project has a new project. Are you guys ready for that? The Franklin Project, launching soon. Let's listen to what the Franklin Project is, by people who like to diddle little boys.
We're at our best when we're all moving in the same direction.
We must love America so much that we will stand above politics to defend her.
I've always liked him. I think he's an extraordinary American.
We can find a way to bridge the gap and start listening to each other.
And once again, the Lincoln Project, the founders of the Lincoln Project, are 2 for 2 on starting projects that they know nothing about. Civility. I guess civility involves porking a 14-year-old that you've hired to be a staffer and sending illicit text messages to them. These are the last people that you need to be listening to. Oh, looks like Stefanik is chosen to replace Cheney as the conference chair. Well, I guess we'll find out what kind of a person she is. I guess we'll all find that out in real time. I just saw that over on the trending side. All right. Let's grab one here from the Post-Millennial, as long as we're watching video at the end here. I don't usually use them because they're not green check verified, but I could not find this anywhere on green check verification. But from the Post-Millennial, and there's video to go with this, so I'm not coming to you without receipts. I can't wait until black people lynch white people, say Antifa BLM activist at police appreciation event in Washington. From Ari Hoffman. An Antifa militant, while protesting in Bellevue, Washington Tuesday night against police officers, shouted, "I can't wait until black people lynch white people." Antifa was protesting law enforcement appreciation dinner hosted by the Billy Graham Evangelistic Association when the statement was made. A video posted to Twitter begins with the activist screaming, "I can't wait till black people hang you," to someone nearby. The recipient of the threat asked the activist to repeat the statement, at which point the Antifa activist screams out, "I can't wait until black people lynch white people." Let's listen.
Age group 21, maybe.
No, I can't wait until black people hang you.
Whoa! What was that? You want to say it again?
Yes. I can't wait until black people lynch white people.
That's messed
The Philadelphia Police Department, we're going to be opening the roadway up here.
That's literally racist.
For your safety, please stay on the sidewalks. You're wearing dark clothing and it's hours of darkness.
I want black and white people to
I
get
don't know if
along.
anybody in your group, that's why I would agree with that statement. That was weird.
No,
You agree with that statement? Whoa.
Again, this is the Philadelphia Police Department. We're going to be opening up the roadway and the intersection to traffic.
Come on now. Age group 21, maybe.
Some pushback can be heard from bystanders, including one who said, "That's literally racist." Another bystander said, "I want black people and white people to get along." The recipient of the threat then asked, "I want to know if there's anyone in your group that would agree with that statement," to the group of Antifa militants assembled on the street, cowering behind their umbrellas. Several of the Antifa activists' hands shot up in agreement with the statement, while another said, "I would agree with that statement." According to witnesses, the activist who originally hurled the first racial slur is a known Antifa activist who earlier this year allegedly assaulted a student in Olympia, Washington. So, that's what they want, you guys. Yeah, pro-fat, I like that. Alright, one more, and then you guys who are lurking can get your last minute messages in. While we thank everybody who chatted in the live chat, we're almost done here, you guys. Almost out for the week. And I've got a notebook full of names to thank you guys, too. So, and once again, if your comment is sufficiently stupid or bigoted, it will raise the intellectual level of this program and will, of course, get read on the air. Last one here from The Blaze. Watch angry Virginia moms line up to read pornographic excerpts from books assigned to 9th graders. From Breck Dumas. A group of furious parents lined up before Virginia's Loudoun County School Board to read several pornographic passages from books assigned to 9th graders in the district amid a recall effort against several of the board members. In a clip from Tuesday night's meeting provided by Media Research Center, the first mom reads from a book describing a domestic violence scene where the narrator talks about a female coming out of some car in these tight-ass little shorts telling me she's going to leave me. I grab her by the neck and start punching her, the mother continues to read. Later, the narrator describes keeping the female in a closet for a couple days, where she kept on screaming, begging to be let out, begging for water. Jasper wasn't even my boyfriend, just this dude I did some hacking with once in a while, the second mother reads. He was pretty basic, but he had a big-ass dick. Sometimes a girl just needs a big dick. A third parent read about the sex act involving a boy. His pants around his ankles, squeezed between April's straddled legs. As she lay on top of the teacher's desk, the narrator describes flipping the boy around, pushing him against the wall, dropping to their knees. I'm sure that you guys don't want to hear this in my voice.
I came home early from babysitting and see her coming out of some car in these tight-ass little shorts, talking fast, telling me she's about to leave me. I grab her by the neck and start punching her. She wanted to be all big and bad, trying to face me like a grown-ass woman. She gonna get beat like a grown woman. She started screaming, cursing at me, and carrying on. I threw her in the closet for a couple of days. She kept on screaming, begging to be let out, begging for water. Every time she made too much noise, I'd walk in and kick her.
Jasper wasn't even my boyfriend, just this dude I did some hacking with once in a while. He was pretty basic library systems, low security not in my league at all, but he had a big and sometimes a girl just needs a big
I tiptoed toward the door, peering through the window at the boy, his pants around his ankles squeezed between April's straddled legs as she lay on top of a teacher's desk. I gripped his arms and flipped him around, pushing him against the wall. His eyes widened, mouth dropping. "Hey, what are you doing?" He chuckled nervously. I took a deep breath before dropping on my shaky knees, the ground cold.
Me and Monday, we did something. We did do something. He took a deep breath. She sucked my I really didn't want it to happen. It just kind of did. Her top lip curled up. Wait a minute, is that what's really going on? She did your homework and you ate her Is that why you're crying? Because Monday's not around to do your homework no more.
I kept dancing, lost in the music, until some boy pushed me up behind me, holding my hips, and I froze. Looking to Megan for help, she nodded and mouthed, "It's okay, it's cool. This is what girls do at parties, I told myself, and kept dancing with the boy. I couldn't see the alcohol making my waist wind faster.
I already heard a lot of the ladies from my group. They talked about f***ing, they talked about d***ing, they talked about licking. By show of hands, does anyone up here want to talk about that stuff now? Not a single hand, because it's very uncomfortable and we're in a room full of adults. Nobody outside, nobody inside wants to talk about it because they're not acceptable topics. How did we get these unacceptable topics? Well, one, you didn't follow your procurement policies when you bought $1.8 million worth of these trash books. If you had followed your procurement policies, then you would have done a curriculum review where I hope and pray that at least the majority of you would have said, no, we can't read this trash to our kids. Your own code of conduct says that this is sexual harassment. We know it because all of us would be fired from our day jobs if we said this crap at work. This is the definition of a hostile work environment. My kids don't go to your crap schools, but theirs do, and they are filing these harassment suits on their behalf. Thank you for not doing your jobs.
I kind of like the end of that. My kids don't go to your crap schools, but theirs do. Like, okay, privileged asshole. But, I mean, there's a difference, too, in what we're seeing here. And we did read aggressive books when we were kids. I'm not going to lie to you and say that we didn't. There were very, very adult situations in some of the literature that we had to read for us. And that was 20 years ago at this point. I mean, yeah, we read The Outsiders. Johnny Cade killed a guy. And he was 14. And of course, everybody in the world read To Kill a Mockingbird. Everybody from antebellum era. Oh no, I can't say antebellum because I might get thrown off YouTube. Fuck that. Everybody from antebellum era the South on, from the time that book was written, read that book in school. And we've all had the same discussion everywhere. Of course, Scott would be concerned. All she has to do is go back to her dad and say, I'm sorry, Dad, I don't want to fuck my brother. But, yeah, some of the stuff, especially with the language, is taking it up to a new level. And, I mean, the kids are going to find these books elsewhere, too. I remember which girls in my school had the trashiest romance novels out there. And they had, you know, the Fabio romance novels. So they were seeing stuff like this. But to have it assigned in a curriculum, that is a little bit different. All right. But that is that. And yes, of course, I saw that Quest was enjoying the MILFs reading the dirty, trashy novels in front of the council. All right, that's it. That's all the news that we have for the day here. But the last thing we're going to do is read the live chat here. So I will bring this over and dock this over here for you guys, so you guys can see what's going on. But while you guys who are lurking get those last minute messages in, let's have a look at the past week, shall we? It's been a busy week, you guys. We get more and more people in here, and I like that as well. So thank you guys, absolutely. On Monday, we had Ron Helton, Random Randy, Spartan 0000, Superior 1 was in here today, or on Monday rather. Total Dad was here. I think Spartan was here today too. I'll have to go back and look and see on the D-Live side. Quest Fanning was here. Spartacus. Random Randy. Horatius. Chilaga 1984 and Arvolt on Tuesday. We had Ron Helton, Quest Fanning. PM me your nachos, who is actually probably one of my favorite Twitch screen names. So if anybody has a line on that dude, get him in here, because that's kind of cool. I love that one. Chilaga 1984. Sully Blue was in here, our friend down from Florida. Random Randy was here. Random Randy is beginning to become a regular in here, which he's kind of cool. And he called in on the call-in show the last time we had one, so thank you for that. Nephilim Ninja of Nibiru rounded out our Tuesday. Wednesday, we had a friend, EOR Explorers, was in for the top half of the show, making fun of the fact that I called the New York Times a former newspaper and then read from them. Well, I read from the green-checked left-wing verified sources, too, so I do make sure to read from them instead of just coming back and saying, well, this right-wing guy here, he's reading the news, but all he's reading is Daily Wire and Fox News and the Daily Stormer and the what the hell's the other one? The Gateway Pundit. He's not reading real news. No, I'm reading the same news stories you guys are, so We're coming to vastly different conclusions, but I'm reading the same news stories you guys are. We also had Nephilim Ninja of Nibiru, Random Randy. Luke Wee was over here right before he went into Minneapolis. I hope he's safe. I don't think I've talked to him since then, but I do hope he's safe at this point. Shilaga 1984, R Volt, and another Twitch user that popped in at the very end that actually made me giggle a little bit when I saw the name. Andrews Yang was in here on Wednesday night. That was kind of funny. I like that one. I do enjoy some of you guys' various handles on your various platforms. I enjoy them a lot. On Thursday, we had Quest Fanning, Random Randy, Ron Helton, Chilaga 1984. Linda Cloud was in here yesterday. Luke Wee came and hung out with us once again. I take that back then. I have talked to Luke since he's been in, because he was in the chat again. Nephilim Ninja of Nibiru was in here with us. Where Before, that's a new name that was in here, but thanks for coming and hanging out with us as well. Where Before 196 as well. Let's see what you guys are doing today. And let's see how much we can raise the intellectual level of this program. All the way back up to the top. Another busy day too, you guys. You guys fucking rock. All kinds. Blind Fear is here, and he says third. I think Random Randy was first, but I didn't have the chat bot up yet at the time. But Blind Fear is here. Random Randy says Accountability Friday. Yup. I will see what you guys have to say. Blind Fear says hi, Jay and the gang. Shilaga 1984 is here. Random Randy says, I hope I think of some truly heinous comments to read later. Well, I will avoid the Susan bait ones, fortunately. Oh, by the way, I've also got Temp Mia has been here a couple days over the Instagram side, and Megan X Ann was over yesterday, but she's not very happy with me right now either. So let's see. Quest Fanning is here. Good morning. Ron Helton is over here with the Trovo stuff, and I see a lot more Twitch names as well. Thanks, Quest Fanning over on Twitch. Yeah, if I can hold 3 average viewers for 30 days on Twitch, then I will be monetized over there, which will be cool because then you guys can start getting some rewards too. I don't know how I'll implement them yet, but especially because I don't monitor the Twitch side directly. But I might change that as well just to see what's going, just to get the dashboard up. And once the new computer is up and I've got 4 monitors, I can have the dashboard. So if you guys do some of the reward stuff, we can get it taken care of. Chilaga is driving 400 miles today. Well, enjoy that. Quest says, what I don't get is that Tesla and Elon must have known Bitcoin was made before. What changed? It got big and popular in the media, and Elon does crazy shit. Yeah, everyone's out there. Difficult to trace. Difficult to trace cryptocurrency. It's not hard, you guys. It's difficult to trace for an old fogey report who has to keep his password on a note. Random Randy said, supposedly, and I've never understood why crypto isn't traceable. It's very traceable. There are at least 100 different terminals that have that transaction on. That's how blockchain works. So every transaction that gets done through a network of 100 ledgers. Everyone knows where it is. Everybody knows what it is. 80s Kid is here. Can someone give me the link to Ed's Twitch, which I got that for you guys. Yeah, thanks again, you guys, for going over onto the Twitch. That's awesome. Random Randy says I'd go all Harrison Ford on them. Hashtag not my platform. 80s Kid says I'll do it now. I'll keep both going. Well, thank you very much for that, because that does help me overcome some of the algorithms on YouTube as well. Randy says, so a pipeline can be hacked, but we just had the most secure election ever. Yeah, there's that true. Randy says this article's position is that they were competent enough to hack it, but they were too incompetent to ask for the right ransom. Chilaga says, more laws, yay! Colonialism should pay for what it did. Random Randy says, isn't it great that the left constantly bring up Trump being millions of people who found any reason to not be forced into a war that was widely not supported? Randy says, Israelis frontier colonial pipeline is their connection, or have I just been drinking too much Kool-Aid? I haven't had Kool-Aid in forever. I kind of want Kool-Aid now. Just print out the articles and hold them up to the camera like Anomaly. Yeah, but then we don't get video either. I just need to bite the bullet and get this computer finished so we can actually have something going for us. Randy is Pepe Silvia. Randy says, I'm the Macho Man Randy Savage, but you can call me Heather Swanson. Nice. Yeah, Random Randy hit it right on the nose. I think they realize that telling people who are vaccinated when they have to follow the same rules doesn't work. Yeah, give them an incentive to go get vaccinated. Quest Fanning says CDC experts' advice is playing catch-up with common sense and popular opinion. Neff says when J. Edgar goes to the meat market, he won't ever cover his face. Yeah, well, you can't get meat in your mouth if you cover your face. Randy says, yeah, Quest, I have some people I've been talking to about this. The other day I got to point out how the experts are finally figuring out what I had told them months ago. It's a cult. Neff says it is like Two Girls, One Cup, and that they're consuming similar stuff. Mad Cow Mark was here, but he can't stay, so get well soon, Mad Cow Mark. Random says, I watched every single Democrat in the House vote the party for 4 years. It doesn't shock me that they're 100% jabbed. Shilaga says some are lying, which that wouldn't surprise me either, especially I think Muslim is very strict about vaccination and what they put into their body. So I don't know if Ilhan or Rashida were actually inoculated or not. Random Randy says 95% efficacy. What if all the 0.1% of people who die from coronades are in that 5%? Random Randy says, funny coincidence how the highest infection rates are in areas with 5G. There is no definitive connection between 5G and coronavirus, Susan Wojcicki. Please don't take my video down. Chilaga says Fauci's a demon wizard. Random Randy says, where's the honor for robotic paint techs? There you go. The guy in the back of the room has joined us over on Twitch. Says she's a mean bingo player. That's why many fear the name Jamie Akusco. I like that. Are masks bad? If you want to wear a mask, then wear a mask. I'm never going to stop you from doing what you want to do with your own body. He says, large inhale. Who? The Fruck? Apparently we're doing political theater here. Random Randy says, AOC Biscuit is on the video with a group that cast her for the role of a congressperson. Yeah, she's an actor. That same group talked about running fake Republicans next time around. You know, the same people who would say there is no deep state. There is no deep state, okay? There's the worst deep state. The deep state is after me, everybody, okay? I'm going to overcome the deep state. I'm going to be the most popular president ever in history, okay? What is a deep state? It's mostly entrenched people who are unelected, who stay from administration to administration. Quest Fanning says Chip Roy is one of the few non-rhinos in Congress. Roy Stefanik Cheney. He's got his own problems. Random Randy says no evidence because we didn't look into it. Quest says 1. Fudge, like from Harry Potter. I don't know anything about Harry Potter. I've read Sorcerer's Stone and that's it. And I've seen the movie, but I was half asleep at the time too. The guy in the back of the room says, not just Democrats, dumbasses who are just agreeing because they want to be involved for some reason. Yeah. The guy in the back of the room says, if you love America so much, then try to get along with Republicans. Oh, wait, you can't because you hate yourselves. Oh. Quest Fanning says, how about the Dick Project after Nixon? Seems more appropriate for a sketch organization like the Lincoln Project. And he also says profa instead of Antifa. MILFs talking dirty. Sexy time. Nephilim says, now read it without the mask, you dirty mamas. The guy in the back of the room says, why is she reading a dirty scene in a book? Well, because they're concerned about the fact that these books are getting assigned to their kids. They're reading the same books their kids are, and then they're realizing what's in them, and they're making a confrontation to the school board at this point. Harvey McLeod is here. Says, imagine having a Biden-Harris sticker on the gas line. Yeah. I have to wonder, are the lines over now? Is this all going to be done? I don't know. I think it's going to take them a couple days still, but let's see. Random Randy says, stay gold, pony boy. Quest Fanning will get last word of the morning then and says, I remember being offended by Maya Angelou's descriptive language about the mess after she was raped. I honestly think she was given more license. And that's it. That's everybody. We're done. All right, and there is not going to be a weekend. Wait, why am I doing this without music? Let's do this with music, shall we? All right, we're done. All right, there's going to be no weekend stream this weekend because I have to get a couple projects done, and I might go up and see my mom and dad too for a little bit because they're going to be half the distance away instead of the full distance. I'm not going to go up to their place, so no weekend stream. We won't do a Saturday one this week. So we will be back here definitely on Monday for more contemporary. And thanks, you guys. Seriously, this is the highlight of my day, seeing everybody who comes in and decides that they want to make commentary in the news that I'm reading here, which is all shitty anyway. And you guys, you know, I've got tea right now, but you guys come and have your morning coffee with me. That's awesome. Is Steven going right now? Let's go double check. Because I know he said he was going to start starting at 10 o'clock on Mondays. Let's see if he's going, because especially with all you guys over on Twitch today, we'll go raid him. Let me go double check that. Otherwise, we'll go raid somebody else. I'm sure there's somebody that's streaming right now. No, go away. Fuck you. Steven is going, so we are going to raid Steven Ignoramus. We will get set to do that, but let's get finished up with the outro here. On-air production. All right, that's all set to go. That's armed up. So thanks everybody who came and hung out with us for the end of the day. We are going to finish up here for the day. We'll be back here on Monday with more contemporary, more news, and another Ferengi rule of acquisition. So come back and hang out with us for more of that and more stuff. I'm sure they're going to try to jack a bunch of other shit in through the news over the weekend, especially with the Israel thing going on. So definitely looking for you guys. Looking forward to that. Guys over on Twitch, hang on for the raid. Everybody else, come and hang out with us for the rest of the music and outro. And we will see you over on Steven's side. Until then, we'll see you next week. I'm Jay Edgar, and this is Contemporary.